All right. Shall we get started? All right, let's do this thing.
Welcome to our session, guys. This is a session where you will become an elite cloud expert and full stack developer in 30 minutes. Now, I said the session is 1 hour, but we promise you it only takes about 30 minutes to build the application we're going to build here. We are not our CTO and lead engineer. They have unfortunately gotten COVID. So my name is Jennifer Galvin. I'm a stand-in, and I am a Tech Alliance lead for OutSystems.
My name is John Ferguson. I'm part of our solutions architecture team at OutSystems, and we are here to pump you up about OutSystems and about becoming a cloud-native developer, and maybe explaining kind of what we mean when we say that.
Excellent. And so what you'll learn here is that you'll learn a little bit about us and our company, OutSystems. We will show you a demo, we promise, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up for you so that you can go ahead and get to your dinner. And you are under all obligations to tell us where the good parties are. And thank you.
That's right, exactly. Awesome. All right, so what does it mean when we say cloud native? Cloud native for us means something really specific. It means that we are building architectures that are resilient, that are scalable, and are secure by default by leveraging the capacity of the cloud. Pretty simple, right? Except the reality is that as developers, I've been a Java developer for, well, longer than I'm willing to admit. When we build applications, we think about things like the user experience, the logic, the workflows behind it, the data models that we work with. And full stack as a term has always kind of said, hey, we can affect all four of those layers. But then when we talk about cloud native, we've got to add this other layer called cloud underneath it. And it means we don't just become application developers and architects, we also become infrastructure and cloud architects, and we take on these skills to become, quote unquote, a cloud native developer, because we have to learn all these things to try and take advantage of them. What we really think, though, is that as organizations try to solve the big problems that are sitting in front of them, we see a lot of people looking at three major things that they think cloud native will help them solve. They have large backlogs of applications. They are trying to get to production. And as a friend of mine, Josh Long, from the Spring community and the Java community likes to say, production, the most favorite place on the internet. We want to get our apps into production, but there's a lot of non-functional requirements, that resiliency, that scalability, that security, that make it hard. And in fact, even though we've had so much innovation on how we get applications to production, CI/CD, secure supply chain, et cetera, we still see a lot of organizations, the time to market going up, not down. Because now we need to do it in a more secure way, at global scale, and with X amount of nines of resiliency. So as OutSystems, we help organizations figure out how to solve those problems by bringing a platform that is high performance, low code. There's never a better marketing buzzword out there, high performance, low code. What does that mean? Is anybody here familiar with the term low code? Have they heard that before? Kind of not a super new topic. So the idea of low code is that we can use a visual programming approach, drag and drop, a very visual-oriented canvas, to bring all the pieces together. And these kinds of techniques have existed for a really long time. They've actually been around for many, many years. OutSystems itself was actually founded 20 years ago in Portugal, so we've been around more than just a couple of years. But when we say high-performance low code, we mean two very distinct things. One, that low code, even though it's the primary approach to building software in the OutSystems platform, we can go to one side, we're providing more of a no-code experience, starters, templates, accelerators, things that are a little bit more packaged, but also go to the other side to traditional code, Java, .NET, all sorts of other types of languages. Because as a developer, I want to have the right tools and the right techniques in front of me. And high-performance low code means that I can go one direction, or I can go the other direction, and that truly there's a home for me as a developer leveraging all three of those different techniques. But I said there were two things that make something high-performance low code. The high-performance part also means that we are bringing a platform that gives us resiliency, scalability, and security. Wait, I already used those three terms to define cloud native. Oh, it's like the matching game. I found a match. So in a high-performance low-code environment, it means that by default, I am secure, I can be run at global scale, and I can be resilient to meet the demands of my business. But it also means that as a developer, I can consume things and build things in a low-code manner, or take advantage of prepackaged no-code, or take advantage of traditional code, which many of us are super familiar with. Great. But how does that actually work? In OutSystems, we have what we call the full stack development experience, meaning that if I want to be a cloud-native developer, or if I really want to be a full stack developer, I need to be able to build amazing experiences on the user experience side. I need to be able to build out the business logic that supports that app and supports that experience. I need to be able to articulate and build out the workflow of how things move through my app, whether that's data or whether that's workflows of screens or some user type of workflow. And then ultimately, I want to have more control over my data. And in OutSystems, which is both an IDE and a platform runtime, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I can affect all 4 of these layers. Now, I go back to one of those big things that companies were challenged with. How do we find all the right talent in the market? I maybe have some junior developers. I maybe have some expert developers. Maybe I have some business analysts that fancy themselves developers. I want to be able to provide the right tooling and have them affect all 4 layers here to build apps, because we want to burn down that backlog. We want to get apps into production. So with OutSystems, I can build an app, and they're cool, and they look great, and I have control over my data model, but they don't talk to anything. They're an IKEA catalog. I read it once, that's nice, and I throw it in the trash. What I really need to be able to do, though, is to integrate with systems. Whether those are REST or SOAP traditional APIs, whether those are cloud services, like, I don't know, things that Amazon maybe they provide. It's kind of an interesting thing. I want to be able to integrate with core systems, whether those are off-the-shelf systems, SaaS platforms, SAP, Salesforce. Many of us live in organizations that have a tremendous amount of core systems and enterprise systems that we need to integrate with. And I also need to integrate with our data platforms, from traditional databases to NoSQL to more event-driven architectures. I want to build apps that don't stand alone, that they work inside an ecosystem of integrations. And as a cloud-native developer, I want to do all of that while also being resilient, scalable, secure. So this is great. With OutSystems, I can build an application. I can integrate it with practically anything in the world, but it's in dev. And that is worthless. We need to get it into production. Remember what I said, one of those 3 challenges that customers face is that the time to market to get things in production in front of users keeps increasing. And so with OutSystems, we have an integrated DevOps environment baked right in. We like to call it opinionated CI/CD, so that you can, without any work, say, you know what? I'm ready to move this to non-prod, to move this through whatever my SDLC looks like, and move it into production. Well, maybe I want to layer on more testing. I want to follow a TDD approach or a BDD approach. Great, I can do that in OutSystems. But wait, John, my company has invested millions of dollars in our CI/CD infrastructure. Awesome. With OutSystems, I can integrate back into Jenkins, CircleCI, Concourse, Harness, Bamboo, whatever you want to use as your integration. Azure DevOps, super popular. Using AWS tooling, awesome. We give you the ability to integrate into those systems that you've already invested time and energy in. Because where do we want to go? We want to go to production. Where is the best place on the internet? Production. And so we make it really easy for folks to take apps that they've built in a full stack manner that have been integrated with all sorts of different systems and get them into production, ultimately, to create an amazing experience. Life is too short to use crappy apps. Let's admit that, right? We want to make sure that we're using applications that are fun, that are engaging, that are interesting, because when they're not, we don't use them. And I don't care what anybody says, the apps that we build for our internal people are just as important as the apps we build for our customers. Now, we can do all of this with OutSystems. But again, it's got to be done in a cloud-native way. With OutSystems, we actually build these things out in a well-architected framework way. And I use those words really deliberately because folks here may be familiar with Amazon's well-architected framework and their pillars and the way that they sort of approach it. When you build apps with OutSystems, you take advantage of that. We give you the ability to scale to global demand. We have many customers that are running OutSystems across the globe. We do it by securing it by default so that when there's a concern about security, and you have to fill out that security questionnaire as part of your automated CI/CD process. Filling out automated, okay, cool. We make that much, much easier. And so we're able to approach this idea of resilient, scalable, and secure by default by baking it into the platform. But here's what we hear all the time. Low code is for losers and posers and people who don't know what they're doing. And no, I don't agree. I was a Java developer. I am a Java developer and have been for many, many years. And still, low code plays a really important role in the way I build software. A lot of people will say, well, John, it's not enterprise ready. But yet we are running mission critical systems for part of the federal government in the US. Oh, but it's on old tech. That's not true. We're running on top of things like Kubernetes and on Aurora serverless and taking advantage of all these new technology innovations that are happening. Oh, but it's not for real developers. I highly beg to differ. What's my favorite thing to do as a developer? Not do the junk work. Like work on the cool, interesting things. And OutSystems helps me get the junk work out of the way so that I can work on those interesting things. And then the big thing that folks say is, it's not going to scale. I can maybe use it for my toy. I can build a little form app. No, that's not high performance low code. High performance low code means I'm building in a cloud native way that is resilient, scalable, and secure by default. So what we have brought to market over the last 20 years and are now actually reframing as we've gone through our own re-architecture and modernization is what we call OutSystems Developer Cloud. This is meant to drive productivity for developers. This is to build serious mission-critical applications and to continue to do this in an evergreen way. Oh, evergreen. That's like the new buzzword, right? I could have put synergy up here, and it probably means about the same. What we mean by evergreen is that we are always up to date. We are always incubating the newest technologies. And the reason we're able to do this is the way that we've built this is we have separated out our runtime and our platform services. And this is a really important architectural choice. When we built OutSystems originally, we built it like a monolith, because that's what we all did 20 years ago, 5 years ago. Instead, we have built this in a way where we have decomposed OutSystems and truly separated the platform services that ultimately generate code, because OutSystems does generate code, from the actual runtime of where we run our applications. And the reason that's important is that we're able to continually upgrade these pieces without having to take systems offline. Most importantly, without having to take apps offline. One of the biggest reasons that apps lose a certain 9 of resiliency is because of upgrades, and upgrades gone awry. That's one of the biggest reasons. One of the hardest things to solve is the actual life cycle of updating applications. And many folks here in this room probably have been on a call where an upgrade didn't go well, a deployment didn't go well. Well, with OutSystems, we've solved a lot of the challenges here because we've actually separated out a lot of these components. The other thing that's really important is around tenancy and security. We have built this with security first in mind. This allows us to drive single tenancy when it matters, multi-tenancy when it doesn't, and to provide a rich environment for people to deploy their applications and to consume all of our platform services. So this is great. I have a platform, I have a runtime, I have an IDE that I'm going to use to build an application, but all of that is totally worthless unless it actually works. So what I'm now going to do is hand it over to my colleague Jen here to walk us through how do we actually build an application? And what does it mean when we say that it's cloud native? And can we build something that is real? Not a toy. Let's get rid of the toys. Let's build something that's real. So Jen, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you wow the rest of the crowd with that.
I'm going to do my best, John. Okay, so for this particular we actually built a demo app, and we wanted one that was very recognizable. So we challenged ourselves, to look at some of those applications out there we use every day and to say, how long would it take to build something that was like this? And then maybe make a stretch goal and say, could we build it better? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to build a clone of Instagram. And we're going to watch the clock because hopefully like pizza, it happens in 30 minutes or less. So what you're looking at here is you're looking at the OutSystems IDE, which allows you to generate applications with a visual editor so that you can go ahead with your existing tools, being a Java developer, an Ionic developer, any kind of developer, front end, back end, or full stack. You have the tools today to understand how applications are built. So we're going to go ahead and add some of these components from our Forge, which allows us to have more individual components to drag and drop on the screen. Using applications in OutSystems and building them is what you see is what you get. So to build Instagram, what we have to do is we have to first build a registration screen. We need to have a way for people to pick their name and pick their avatar. And so we're using a pre-built component in our Forge called Neo Registration. And what that's doing is allowing us to set up that screen so that when you first use that screen, you can give it a nickname, and then you can go ahead and sign up and start beginning to use Outstagram. We're now going to create the home page. We're doing it from scratch, although you'll notice that in the world of low code, as John said, culturally, we live and die by starters. It is very, very important for us to give the next generation of developers starting points to build those applications. And you'll notice here that OutSystems is doing a lot of the work for you. We are an AI-driven platform that allows you to build the screens from data in the system. So we're adding a structure for a post entity. A post is pretty simple. It is, so it was very small on my screen, but it is, oh, that was better, look at that. It is allowing us to actually build that screen by recognizing that we have create, read, update, and delete actions, and we need to go ahead and just generate those screens for us. And now we're gonna go ahead and just construct our basic function of Outstagram. So Outstagram is very simple at its heart. It allows us to take pictures, to see who took them, to have people make comments, and to share them on a feed. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and set it up so that we're building that registration. It links to the homepage then after you've registered. And now you see the feed of everyone's posts. What we also need to do is we need to create a way for you to take a photo. So we're dragging in some pre-built components on the left-hand side that allow you to create a new screen, and that will be the screen that will come up when you actually do take that photo. So we're creating a new screen right now. And these screens are very simple. If you look at Instagram, it's a pretty basic application. Now, you'll notice a lot of the screen is laid out for us. That's because the platform is also doing some work there. And we have these pre-built components that we can go ahead and easily create our basic structure for submitting a post. We need to go ahead and drag a new post in from the entity we created, and it's automatically scaffolding a page for a new post. The AI generative platform knows what we want to do, and now we're simply setting up our save buttons, and now we're simply setting up the logic. So once the form is saved, you'll notice a lot of this is pre-built. It's checking the form, checking its validity, and then all we have to do now is assign the picture that we've taken to those inputs. And we need to assign some of the other structures, the description that the user is typing, as well as some of the tags and when it was posted. And so now I am simply selecting some of the suggestions that the platform is making. So as I pull down these buttons, it's actually making some suggestions what it thinks is the most appropriate thing here, helping me out as I continue along the process. And then finally, once we have gone ahead and assigned that taken picture, we can then go ahead and ship it to the server, and it's going to go ahead and create that post, and we'll send the user back to that home page and that feed. And again, we're looking for things that will help us create this application. So believe it or not, even though this seems like a really simple application, there's a lot of nuance to creating images. There's a lot of resizing that takes place so it looks good. And also, we don't want to store very big pictures because we want the application to be performant. It really doesn't have to be that big because we're using this on our phone. So we're going to use some of the pre-built components that we make in the Forge. We brought them in. And we're going to use them to dynamically resize the camera picture before we store it. And this is going to give us better performance because if not, it'd store very big pictures. And there you go. What we're also doing there on the right-hand side is we are adjusting the built-in role structure for security. So for our demo today, no one's really making a login or anything. They're just going and using the application. So by default, OutSystems will protect the screens that you create by forcing people to register and create a login or be secured when they access screens. So we're actually doing us a solid in turning that off. So finally, we're going ahead and just preparing some basic checks so that these don't these error gracefully for the user. So when a screen loads on mobile, if you were doing this as a developer, you would have to do these checks by hand. But what we want to do is just make sure that the device has a camera, that it is detected, and that if not, it gives us other options. This also allows us to control what's on the screen so that we can take away things on the screen or not display certain buttons if the capability of the device was missing a camera. And once this is generated, this will actually generate into a progressive web application, which is actually accessible on both web and mobile. And it will give you an option to generate both the IPA and APK for mobile as well. So we're really enjoying a cross-platform experience, and that's why we're putting in some of these checks and balances so that it gives a nice experience for that user. And you'll notice I'm going to the top there. So whenever I build something in OutSystems in the IDE and I select publish, this isn't localhost 8080. This is not running on the laptop. This is actually sending the application directly to our cloud, assembling the necessary infrastructure under the covers, and then deploying the application. So right away, I can go ahead and access the application on the web, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All right, so we used all the defaults for this application. Okay, so you'll notice we have our basic structure. It's really created here. You'll notice we have a feed, it has some photos. We took a lot of the defaults. So a lot of these components really come with defaults that are set. So the default is presented in a circle, but everything's pretty functional. I'm gonna click that camera button, and we're gonna take a picture of the audience. Oh, if I can do it correctly, look at that. I'm going to take a picture of the audience right here. Oh, there we go.
Thank you for your volunteering.
Yes, audience participation. Okay, hi there. And the reason, and we're doing that so that we can actually go ahead and give you an example of what this looks like. So at its heart, there we go. At its heart, we're taking a basic photo. We've had the basic structure of Instagram, right? We have a feed, we have a little nickname, we have, that I registered beforehand because I tested this out. We have a photo and we have our feed, we have other photos when we were testing this out earlier. But this does not look like Instagram, right? And so now what I like to do is I like to break the boundaries of what you know of low code, and we'd like to kind of go farther. So the next step is really bringing those applications back into brand and making them pixel perfect, which is where we are different from a lot of low-code platforms in the market. So if you were to use a low-code platform, many low-code or no-code platforms are very rigid. And the difference between those platforms and OutSystems is that we allow you to make applications pixel perfect in very simple ways. So we're going to go pop over to the Styles tab here. And you'll notice we're going to go ahead and style it so it looks a little bit more like Instagram. Instagram has square photos that take up more of the real estate on the image. And also, we have distinct styling. For our company, our colors are black and red. We also have the logos. Usually a logo, little icon and avatar is selected for the user. And we need to go ahead and make sure that shows up. And you'll notice some of the conventions that you're used to working with when you create an application kind of show up in the interface. So most of you are used to working with Bootstrap or Bootstrap-like frameworks for sizing on web pages, which have columns. You'll see the same kind of convention that you're used to being expressed here in the IDE. We're going to go ahead and just make that really just precise. And for all of these, we're going to go ahead and just touch up the page. And the sky's the limit. We have many ways for you to do this. So not everyone can know everything. So even though you have the basic structure for developing an application, if you're a back-end developer, this is a bit more challenging for you. And so we allow you to have more accessibility to the CSS and styling by allowing you to have a styler like this available so you can easily style it. Alternatively, if you really did have a corporate CSS, you can actually load it on. You can edit the CSS directly if it's really very complicated, and then it becomes pixel perfect. We also have a lot of control over what appears on the screen. So there's a lot of logic, a lot of Boolean logic you can do to really dictate when things are visible or not visible. And here what I'm doing right now is I'm just finishing that styling by removing the margins. Like Instagram is very much all the way to the edges of the phone, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Let's see, okay. And we're gonna go ahead and just make it exact. All right, and the last step we need to do is we need to just make sure it's just perfect. And then once again, we're hitting the publish button. So once again, not localhost 8080, this is running live on our cloud. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now the final step too is, again, we have a lot of templates and starters and themes, very similar to our sister company, Ionic, who also has a number of built-in themes. You can use your theme, but we do this so that if you're getting something off the ground, it's very simple to do. And you'll see on the left-hand side, when I was building this, I was testing it out live, and you'll see that change from an oval to a square. And it's almost ready to go. Great. And a couple things too, we just want to make sure that we have all adjusted all the logic as well, and we'll publish it. Once again, available on the internet, ready to go. All right, and so this becomes the foundation for our Outstagram. As you know, we've done this in about, let's take a peek, we've done this about 8 minutes. And now we're ready with a fully functional application, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch over.
So wait, I feel like I missed something because I didn't see you slip a $20 bill underneath the DevOps team door or RHEL engineering or the SRE team, but it's running, it's real?
Well, it's running in dev. So we build serious applications. So our platform does support
bad test data.
Our platform does support what you would normally consider a real application, where it supports multiple pipelines like dev, QA, and production. So in this case, it is dev, but the point I was making is that it is accessible. So the reason is because you want to collaborate with your team. We do get a lot of direction when we're building an application first. People do or do not like these things. And in the platform directly, once I've published an application, you can actually go and open that application up for comment to the business owners who are actually asking for that application. And they can actually go and mark directly on the screen their feedback. So once I publish this and I say, hey, John, what do you tell me what you dislike most about this application?
Well, I didn't like the white mode, light mode. I wanted dark mode.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So you listen to my feedback. I appreciate that.
Yes, exactly. And what John could have done is he would go access the application, and he can actually mark and make comments, and we could actually address those comments directly in the application. The platform really supports collaborative work. So this is that second portion of the application. We took a couple pictures to test it, and we'll take a new picture now. Oh, all right. Look at that. Doing a good job, I hope. Ooh, tiny keyboards. So far, so good. Let's let the internet catch up a little bit. There we go. But doing a great job. And for the most part, it really looks like Instagram, right? I mean, it has an icon, it's got a nickname, they've got a feed of photos. In about 10 minutes, we built it. So should we overachieve?
I think we should do a little bit more.
I agree.
Yeah, like
I
we got
agree.
time. No one wants to listen to me, so.
The status quo is not good enough.
No,
I
let's do
agree.
this.
Okay, so because we're here, let's go ahead and add a little bit more. So let's make it better. So I think the next thing that we should do is one of the things, since we have a really multicultural audience, is one of the things I would like to know is where these pictures were taken, right? Because if you're taking a picture at a fountain or something in Vegas, I want to know how to get to that fountain as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and overachieve. So because we allow, we're deployed, our OS Cloud is deployed on Amazon, but we allow you choice. You can actually bring in any of our 5,000 different components and use any service you like. So we're going to go ahead and bring in one of the most popular location services out there for mobile applications. We're going to bring in our Google plugin. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use that to generate the location from the device and tag it to the post so that the user can see it. And here we're adding that lovely error messaging. Remember, we must develop for all devices and all platforms. Because this is developing a cross-platform application for web and mobile, we want to just make sure that we are actually adding those error messages. And so we're going to use that plugin to get the latitude and longitude, and we're going to save it on the post itself. So we're adding 2 attributes on that data structure for latitude and longitude that we're going to feed to our plugin that's going to populate our map. And we're going to save that location. Anyone here use Google Maps in their applications? No? Anyone use any other services? No? Oh, well, if they were available to you, you would use them. So we're making them very accessible. And we're just going to go ahead and do that. Once again, you see that AI-driven development by the suggestions that are being made. And we're going to have to go ahead and polish up our interface now to show it well. So we're showing the latitude and longitude is not helpful. So we need to find a delightful way to show this to the user. We don't want to take up any more real estate. I have a tiny phone. And we still want to keep that look and feel of Instagram, even though we are overachieving. So we're going to go ahead and use some convenient, beautiful UI plugins that we have on the left-hand side to do that. We're going to use something called Flipkart. And what that allows us to do is actually take the image and flip it around when they touch it. It's pretty common, but it's going to give us a beautiful, delightful experience, indistinguishable from a homegrown application. And what you see is what you get, so we're going to go ahead and drag that on. So once we drag the Flipkart on, the Flipkart is very flexible. It doesn't really care what you drag in there. And so it doesn't really know what you want to show on the backside. So we've dragged our UI widget into that Flipkart. These plugins are not just logical. They are, in fact, graphical as well. So we're going to drag that in. We're going to feed the location, latitude and longitude directly to that widget. And then we're going to go ahead and publish this application, and now we're going to have that location accessible. And then we're going to have some final styling. You want that pixel-perfect experience. And there we go. Now, unlike other platforms that you might use to create this, we're now breaking those boundaries. Not only are we pixel-perfect, which would eliminate a lot of the solutions out there in the market to do this, we are now dragging in one of our 5,000 pre-built plugins. And we have the most plugins out there as well. So let's go ahead and check it out, guys. Okay.
Wait, I want in on this one. Hold on.
You went on this one? I'm so sorry. Okay, here. Get in there. All right. So now let's go ahead and take a new photo. All right.
No.
Oh, you want a selfie?
Together.
Okay, all right. We'll do that. Awesome.
This isn't going on the internet, is it? Oh, wait, it is.
It is.
Oh, no.
Forever. All right. And the big thing about this plugin is now I can go ahead and actually try that out. So in case you missed it, I'll do it one more time. But the card is now this beautiful animation. Doesn't take up any more real estate, but allows us to see that photo and see that location. I guess it's pretty close depending on where I've joined from the Wi-Fi. But now we can see at least where it's located. And so if I was taking a picture of something like in Vegas, like those beautiful fountains, or maybe the sign, I now know I can go there and I can check it out. But should we go further? I mean, how much time do we have? Oh, we're good.
We're good. Let's do a little more.
Let's do a little more. All right. All right, guys. So now we have this lovely clone of Outstagram, but we want to go farther. We want to make software very accessible. In fact, OutSystems is a great platform to make software accessible. We have pre-built plugins to actually conform to accessibility standards. And we are itself a very global company, and we recognize that we have a very global presence. And when you're developing applications, much to the comment of the gentleman over here, he was talking about, you can't have applications just in English. But we need to translate some of these applications so they're localized for different users. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some additional structure into our post object here. And we're going to go ahead and add 3 new fields for every post. And they are the source language, which for this demo we're going to assume is English. But in reality, you might pluck that out of the profile registration. I would say I'm English, and then it knows what it is. We're going to select the target language, which is going to be what the user who is trying to read your post is going to select. And then we're going to select we're going to add the actual translation so that we can have anyone who speaks any language read your post. And because we're at Amazon, we are going to use Amazon Translate for this, which is a pre-built component in Forge. We make some of the most popular services in Amazon so that we make the platform accessible. We have over 17 different pre-built and supported integrations to Amazon, and that is also the most of any low-code platform out there.
Wait, so we're at an AWS conference and we're using AWS services?
Yes.
Oh, it's almost like we planned that.
Almost.
Almost.
Okay, so what we're doing here also is we're using another feature of the IDE. So language, to speed up the development, language dictionaries are dime a dozen, but you have to load them in the application. So what you just saw is you saw someone drag in an Excel spreadsheet that had language codes already preloaded, which is just a pain. I don't know if you guys have done this before. I have to download the language codes. So, I mean, typically you might use a service for this, but we just wanted to jam in a bunch of language codes for our demo, and this was an easy way to do that. In fact, one of the first ways that you could create an application is by looking at the applications in your environment that are Excel spreadsheets and looking at them and saying, should these remain Excel spreadsheets or should we take them into the cloud? And then the final thing we're doing is we are taking that pre-built service from AWS Translate, and that's actually really it's a component, and it's actually not very straightforward, to be honest. So for this demo, what I wanted to do was highlight some other capability of us absorbing REST interfaces, and also simplify my interface with AWS Translate. So what I did was I used OutSystems to create a REST API that was very simple. It just took source, destination, and translation, which was what I wanted. And then I exposed it to this application. So this application can auto-generate any REST API calls and then go ahead and use them. So this is something that we did to simplify the demo. And to test it out and generate those calls, what I did is I went ahead and pasted the JSON from the REST call, and then I tested it directly in the IDE. And then I just copied the response body to that REST call. So now it's actually generating the server actions that we will use to translate. And so any REST API is now very accessible. Finally, on the home page, we are going to add an action to translate. So that's going to appear on the home page below the post. We're going to have a button that displays the source language and then displays the target, allows you to select the target language, and then if the target language is selected, it will allow the translation to appear. So to do that, we need to add 2 things to the home page. We need to add a place for that translation to exist, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually sticking it underneath description, and I'm using some logic as well to hide it if it's not, if the translation is not available, if the user was comfortable with English. And you'll notice once again that AI-assisted development, it's actually just trying to make some guesses, like what do you think is correct here? And really speeding up that development. We're going to publish one more time because I like to publish. I make a lot of mistakes when I do these applications. But there are no mistakes in OutSystems. While this is publishing, I should talk more about version control. So even though this is available on the web, it's actually still in development, right? We haven't really deployed it to production. But that's because we're still working on it. And every time I do this, I really make a lot of mistakes. We have built-in source control as well and version control so that if I make mistakes, I just Control Z and I can revert to any version. And it happens a lot, guys. And here I'm making the button where you'll see it's also assisting me. The only things that are really possible here to put here are the results from the get posts and lists and things, so it's making those suggestions. And it's allowing me to fetch the data from the language codes. So I loaded those language codes. They now became a database table inside of my application. It's now on the cloud, highly resilient. And I just need to go fetch them every time and display them for the user. And again, I'm making an assumption here. Normally, you'd probably do something like on sign up where you'd say, my language is English, but we're making that assumption here. And then finally, when the user selects this particular language, we have to trigger that actual translation. So you'll notice in the client action, now is where I'm actually dragging in that post translate. Once I have the user select that, we need to send that to Amazon Translate. And we're going to send the post source language. We're going to send the desired target language. And we're going to send the text. And then we'll get our description back on the call. Perfect. Now we have our target language. And then we'll go ahead and send that translation back. So it will appear on the screen. Now you'll notice there's other assistive technology as well. So even though at this point, I'm still working on the application, at any point it actually is reminding me where I need to complete the work. So you saw that error is found until I made that final assignment. It will not actually let me commit to the code, commit to the application until it really is resolved. That allows me to do things like not break the build.
Oh, what a novel idea. That's interesting.
So I'm going to once again publish it again, going to the cloud, and we can go ahead and see that in action. Okay. Oh, sorry, hang on a sec. All right. Sorry, not up. Oh, that was the wrong one. There we go. Okay.
Oh, that test data is
This is the hardest part of my job.
Wow,
all right. Oh, and low battery. We better hurry up, guys, because I have low battery. Gosh. All right. So why don't we do a second photo of you here?
Okay, sure.
Can we?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. You want to do a selfie, or what do you want to do? Oh, all right. Oh. That's really good.
Oh, yeah. No, send that to my mom.
All right. Scary. Says John's mom.
This is not a mom joke.
Okay. So now we have our application. And it looks the same. The only difference is that we have our translation. So, sorry, we'll give it a little poke the internet a little bit. There we go. All right, so it's in English. What language would you guys like to see?
Can we, what? Arabic?
Wait, Arabic. Okay, so you can read. Can you verify it's correct? Okay. That's important. Look at that. Oh, there we go. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so we've made it wonderful.
That's good, it worked.
So not only have we built a clone of Instagram, but we've added geographic location, and also we've made it accessible to our friends here. And each post can actually be changed, and we can pick new languages, and everyone can read them. How much time we got? Oh, we got time. One more?
I only want to do one more because
Okay.
I hate writing hashtags. I want them done for me.
Okay.
Would that be possible?
I think we can do that.
Okay.
Okay.
But I might
figure out this
need,
button.
I don't know, a service from Amazon that looks at images, maybe? Would that be?
I have just the thing, actually.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
This doesn't feel staged at all. No, it's great. It's
So,
great.
so as we were saying earlier, some of the most interesting sessions this conference, I think, were the AI ML, right? And things that we're looking at, recognizing faces and photos and things like that. So what we did is I want to go ahead and bring in the Amazon recognition service so that we can go ahead and generate those tags. I hate typing those tags too, and they're very long.
Lazy.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Amazon recognition as also one of our pre-built components, and we'll just bring all the functions. That's good. All right. And we'll go ahead and we'll send these pictures to Amazon so it can detect faces, and we're going to detect your emotions. You're a very stoic man. I am not sure if this will work.
Uh-oh. I'm a little nervous, actually.
You need to really, you need to really
Lay it
smile.
down? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
We can do this.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to just add another server function that's just going to assist this application called generate tags. And it's going to go ahead and call Amazon recognition. And if we have detected a person, it's going to go ahead and indicate that it is a person. And it's going to also generate that emotion as well. So we're going to go ahead and bring in Amazon recognition, which is wonderful because there's quite a number of services from Amazon. And so who could know it all, right? So as previous developers, you guys have that skill and structure to know how to work with the service, but you don't know much about it. What can you do in 30 minutes or less, right? In 30 minutes or less, I think I could load the Postman of recognition and maybe learn how it works. Well, with OutSystems, you can actually drag the component in and just use it. It's very, very simple. So here you'll see, and mind you, I do recommend reading up on Amazon recognition because I did have to read up on what this was actually doing. But when it recognizes faces, it does so with a degree of confidence. So you're going to have to actually set it a little bit. We're going to set it to a high confidence so we don't report on things that are weird. Things that are definite. And I considered doing other things actually with this. I considered detecting eyeglasses. I considered detecting shapes and structures. And so we did add those for the demo in the booth. But here you'll notice this is the wide range of things. It's actually quite interesting. But for this one, because you had asked me about emotions, because you don't display them normally.
Yeah,
you get to smile.
I'm an emotionless, blank slate.
Correct.
Zero emotion.
What we need to do is we're going to detect these emotions, and we're going to detect what they are. And so here we're just looking for the face detail is also very interesting if you look at this service. It detects a lot of stuff like beards and other things. It's kind of age range. Oh, I did not select that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And what it's doing is it's actually detecting it. And then if we have a person returned, it's going to go ahead and set those tags.
Now I'm getting nervous.
I was kind. Moderately
I
so.
like the age thing makes me a little actually, I appreciate you not putting that in.
And so here on the new post, what we're going to do is we're actually going to reach out to the recognition service when we are posting. So it's going to automatically generate. But what that does, remember, we're always concerned about user experience. So what that does is when you're posting, it's actually going to make 2 server calls now to the server to generate information on the client. It's making that call for GPS. It's also now making a call for recognition. So what's happening is we need to have a good user experience because it's going to take a little bit of time. So we're going to go ahead and add our generate tags so that we do wire this in correctly. And we'll go ahead and do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reach back into our toolkit of UI, pre-built UI components to look for like things that have loading circles and things like that so that we can just have them display correctly. And then when the task is finished, then they will move back onto the home page. So the user isn't like pressing save like 5 times or something, which they might do. And so here you'll notice we're just using some basic logic, which again, not all of you are capable of this. We all know how basic logic works. We are just going ahead and setting a is loading flag, and that our screen will respond to that. And then when the process is done, it will be false again, and then the screen will move on and refresh. And so the last thing we need to do is just change that save button. We've already pre-built a loading widget for you because we have all of these graphical widgets are pre-built. And we're going to go ahead and use that as well instead of just this boring save button because that's going to be a better user experience. And seeing from the internet today on this particular session, we're going to see that circle spin a little bit, so it'll be a nice demo. Yeah.
But the internet here is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Wi-Fi's great.
All right. So you'll notice it is loading. And we're going to go ahead and just finish configuring that. And so this is really what makes OutSystems unique. We're still creating our MVP, and it's going to be beautiful and delightful. But we've brought in 4 different services. We've already overachieved from our original goal. Mm-hmm. We're still in time. And the best thing is then what comes next, right? Like, why is this so important? It's not just that I built an Instagram clone in this time. It's that, where do we go from there? So let's go ahead and get this published, and let's go ahead and show you the finished application. And then we'll talk about what makes us different, which is the sheer trust that our customers put in the platform because of the scalability and reliability they get out of the applications because they're deployed on a platform that is taking care of that site reliability and that quality and that security for them. Okay, so we're doing our final publish. So instead of a sample app here that I would do of this, I actually decided to show you the final piece, which includes not only facial recognition, but object recognition, because this is the demo we're showing in the booth. Okay. So we're going to try to detect your emotions.
Okay.
You can try hard, right? And smile.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll try.
Okay. You want to hold up something recognizable?
My phone work?
We'll find out.
Okay.
All right.
I could use my shoe. So like get smart kind of thing. No?
Can it be by your face?
I could try.
It'll be a very interesting presentation.
That would be really scary.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So let me go and switch over. Okay. All right. So here, and by the way, guys, I don't know if you know this, we have a lot of fun here at OutSystems. This is our demo application has been shown in the booth, and it has all of these amazing, amazing photos from the conference. We've just been taking this all week as we've been having a good time. And it's just delightful to watch this feed, guys. This is great. So you'll notice here we have all these photos. Let's go ahead and take one more. Ready? Okay. Hang on. Well, let's make it a little.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. Yes? Good?
Yes, okay.
Good? Okay, cool.
And we're challenging Amazon Rekognition to guess how you are feeling.
Oh, boy.
Drum roll, please. All right. You notice that loading button that we just added, that little spinning? That is that pre-built one. And then let's see in just a moment.
Happy.
Happy. Excellent. So if you notice again, we'll go through our 4 functions again. We have our geographical location. We have our photo. We have our translation. We have our facial recognition, and it guessed it correctly. And then in this case, for time, we cut out the last scenario, but our demo application does actually bring an object recognition too, which is just me going back and selecting more things. And you'll notice it picked up, what did it pick up here? Portrait, photography, person, mobile. Oh, look at that.
Got my phone?
Yeah, interesting. Excellent. So how did we do, guys? Okay, excellent. In 30 minutes, we went ahead and cloned a very recognizable application. We made it on brand, and we made it 4 times better than the original. So we've
Not too shabby.
overachieved.
It was okay. We all could have done this, right? Easy peasy?
I
Easy
agree.
peasy.
I agree.
Awesome.
So now what?
Well, let's wrap it up because we are running out of time.
Okay. All right.
So what I want to just highlight real quick before we let you all go and get you out to dinner, drinks, and adventure, is when people are building platforms, they have to build this. To get the experience that was provided here of an application that's deployed in the cloud, sitting behind a load balancer with a hooked up identity service, with a CDN, with a WAF, connected across your data, your key management, all of this stuff. Do you notice we didn't even talk about it? Because it matters, but it's done for you. And that's what's important about OutSystems. OutSystems is this. It is all of these components, hot-wired, ready to go in a platform that allows you as a developer to go back to the beginning of what we talked about, which is work on the actual full stack and not have to add cloud underneath that to be considered a true cloud-native developer. It's to take advantage of the cloud rather than have to work the cloud. And that's really, really, really important. And as OutSystems, what we've shown you today, hopefully, and you've seen it now, and I encourage you all to go to outsystems.com, download a free environment and try this out yourself, because seeing is believing and touching is even better. Build it yourself. Go play with this. Go try this out. Because I've built platforms like this. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to build Instagram. I want to build apps. And I want to build great apps. Because like I said before, life is too short to use crappy applications. So with that said, I want to thank you all for coming today. I think we're going to do a quick raffle. What's our top number? 26. Okay. Pull out your poker chips. We have 2 minutes and 40 seconds to do this. Ready? I'm thinking of a number 1 to 26. 5. 21. Raise your hand, by the way, if this is your poker chip. 5, 21, 17, 1, and 9. Sorry. Awesome. Well, hey, everyone, thanks so much for coming. Jen, thanks for sharing with us. Really
Thanks for
appreciate it,
having me.
and have a great rest of the conference.
Thanks for having us, guys.